part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Reg I and Rhoda podcast, powered by MGM Northfieldpark on the Press Play Podcast Network. Dave Emmert, our outstanding producer, making sure you get all of this in the podcatosphere, the best in the business. Thank you, David, for what you do to make R&R available to everybody out there. And Michael Reg I never thought I would say this in Week 11 against the winless Detroit Lions, but this is a must-win game for the Cleveland Browns, and I don't feel very confident that they can win this game unless they get their head out of their you-know-what from the coaching staff all the way down to the players and figure out what the hell has gone wrong with this 5-5 team at this point in the season. Hard to believe, Reg.
Yeah, Roadman, if you would have hit us with that 3-4 weeks ago, we would be saying, that's not going to be a thing. But it's right. This football team, no, they can't be 5-6. I mean,
no.
And Kenny, their best shot, we can get into this, of course. I mean, I think actually their best shot is to win the division, is to win the AFC North. A wild card thing, I mean, New England's playing here tonight, but you got them involved in it now, and now you got tiebreakers that are going to happen. So if you're the Browns, Ken, 7 football games left?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, to get ahead, you got to beat the Detroit Lions and come out and play well. Yeah, and put a strong performance together because it's come down to that. The inconsistencies, as we were talking about Sunday, it's too much of the roller coaster ride, man. Up, down, play well, play decently, and then play like they did against New England. They got to get rid of that. They can't have that. You got to start showing your football team that knows that consistent winning is very much at stake now for the rest of the year.
Reg, I found it really interesting that Myles Garrett was given a personal day. He missed practice one day, just a few days after his comments post-game about defensive coordinator Joe Woods, and then Jarvis Landry coming out and saying, yeah, I'd like to get the ball more. And when asked why he's not, I don't have an answer for you. So you got two veterans, one on offense, one on defense, in a roundabout way questioning the coaching staff.
Yeah, and never good, as we know. Right. You can try to sugarcoat that all you want, Ken. As you and I know, we've been around this block with this sort of thing. And they'll try to polish that up, both of those guys and the coaches. I noticed today that Alex Van Pelt was as the Thursday's coordinator day, that meets the media at practice. So both Alex Van Pelt and Joe Woods are out there. So, of course, they both got to ask about it. And they downplayed it naturally. And, I've talked to Woods says, yeah, Myles and I have had a conversation. And Van Pelt says, oh, yeah, Jarvis and I, he's the ultimate pro. We're good. No, you're not. BS, man. Yeah. No. That's a thing that you hope just and boy, Kenny, I tell you, can you imagine if the almost unthinkable were to happen and the Detroit Lions get their first win of the year? I don't even want to think about that. They have played a lot of close football games. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or a real decisive, but at this point, it doesn't matter. You just got to play good football. And if you win by 3 late, fine. But you better get the damn win, Browns. You just better.
Reds, think about it. It would be embarrassing at home. 5-5 Super Bowl aspirations this year. The 08-1 Lions come in. And normally, what is the Great Lakes Classic in the preseason? The dumbest damn trophy in sports.
Was that a barge?
Yeah, you play for a barge in the preseason, right? So now this is a regular season version of it. And I think the Browns have held that barge for the last 5 years or 6 years, whatever the hell it is. Yippee-ki-yay, mother, right? But you imagine losing a regular season game to the winless Lions. You talk about that locker room coming apart. I think it'll just, be divided if they go to 5-6 and lose this game. That's why I'm calling it a must-win game. And like you said, yeah, you'd like it to be convincing. The spread, I think, is 11.5 right now, but you just want to find a way to win this, get back over 500. and hope that can, jumpstart the rest of your season and keep you in the playoff race.
Well, it's going to have to because, they're in a situation now that we just mentioned a moment ago, Ken. They've put themselves in a very potentially dangerous situation. And, the best way to cure that is win football games. I mean, look, again, you and I aren't, me and I'm not a scheduled game guy going ahead, but it's pretty cut and dried here.
Yep.
I mean, they got to win 5 of the 7 football games. Now, if they do that, that's going to put you in good shape, I would think. 10-7, that should get you in. But then just start subtracting from that. So they win 4 of them, and you're 9-8.
Right.
Well,
forget about it.
Yeah.
At 9-8, forget about it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's the situation they put themselves in. And you want to look just Sunday to Sunday, and you don't want to look ahead. That's great and all. But here is that's the situation you put yourself in. I mean, you're going to have to find a way but first and foremost, start playing consistent football, right? Complementary football. And I don't know, are they capable of that? Well, we're going to start finding out in 3 days.
The one thing they are consistent at is being inconsistent, right? Week in and week out, you never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from the Cleveland Browns. And that's exactly, they are Forrest Gump, man. You don't know from week to week what Baker Mayfield's going to show up, right? What defense is going to show up and make a play. So that's the frustrating thing about this team that had such, high aspirations for this year. Now, having said all of that, right? All the woe is me stuff there, they still control their own destiny, Reg. They've got 2 games head-to-head in a matter of 3 weeks against the Baltimore Ravens. They got another one left with the Cincinnati Bengals and another one left with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, in a way, they control their own destiny about winning that division. I picked them at the beginning of the season to go 11-6 and win a tiebreaker. So I guess for that to happen for me now, they're going to have to beat the Ravens in back-to-back games. Yeah. Okay. And find a way to be on top in the AFC North. And with Pittsburgh, and I don't think that's going to be a problem, right? We saw Mason Rudolph, what a joke of a quarterback he is in the NFL. They tied the Lions last week at the ketchup bottle in Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, they maybe made a nice splash early in the season, Reg, but I think, they're a year away, really, right? They may be a factor in this, but I don't see them winning the division. I still think it comes down to the Browns and the Ravens based on that 3-week span where the Ravens go Browns, Steelers, Browns in a matter of 3 weeks. And I think that'll be the most crucial part of this season as long as the Browns win this week. They can ill afford to stub their toe, look past the woeful Lions. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And, as you said, it's about, and 4 of the 7 games, they got 7 left, right? 4 of them are against division opponents. Yep. And as you just laid out. And Browns fans, be thankful of that. be glad of that, right? Because that's why I said you got an opportunity to win the division if you can finish this up strong. And Kenny, maybe 5-2, who knows? Given other for all the reasons you just laid out, 5-2, it might win the division. Who knows? Yeah. You 10-7 may win the division. Whew. Man, it easily could. So, but the thing is, you got to find a way to start playing much, much better football because they certainly aren't right now. We know what the injury situation is. So, you can put any factor attached to it that you want. But and Kenny, to me, I'm going back and forth too, and trying to come up with a bottom line on. You laid out, the various. At least 3 different injuries that Baker Mayfield is dealing with. Right. I mean, you're paying Case Keenum $6 million a year. You are the highest paid backup quarterback. Right. He's the highest paid back too in the NFL. And again, so if there's any question about Mayfield's capabilities, because this offense has got to get. It can't be what it was the last time we saw him against New England. Yeah, that's great. Go up 7-0. First drive, great. And did diddly do after that. You can't. So would it be better
would it be better to play Case Keenum,
Yes.
Kenny?
Yes. No hesitation when you ask me that question, Michael Rega. Yes. Here's why. It's the Lions. They're 0-8-1. If you sat Baker to play Case against the Denver Broncos, who had multiple wins, you should sit Baker against the Lions, who do not have a single win, and maybe without Jared Goff this week. And so, yes, without hesitation, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I go to Baker, say, Bake, look, I've got to put the team first, and I'm thinking of you. Take the week off, get a week's recovery, rehab, whatever you want to call it. Get ready for, the Baltimore Ravens. Then you got a bye week with another week off to recover, and then the Ravens again, right? So we're going to, put our backup out there. It's why we're paying him, like Michael said, the most of any backup in the NFL. We'll get this win. We'll be at 6-5. That gives you that extra week. Get your knee healed, get your foot healed. Your shoulder is what it is. And let's get you ready for that Baltimore Ravens game. Thanks for understanding. I got to go coach my team. See you. Bye. And that's the way I would do it if I were Stefanski. I wouldn't leave it up to Baker Mayfield. I would put my foot down and flex my muscles as the the NFL's coach of the year from a year ago and the head coach of the Cleveland Browns in year number 2, and tell Baker the way it is instead of asking.
Yeah, and I've given it a lot of thought today, and that's why I wanted to put it out there for you to, have your say on it. And I'm kind of feeling the same way too. I think it's the right way to go. And normally, Kenny, I probably wouldn't say that. Now, you know what? No. If you got to, I think all 32, I don't care what, you got to trust your starting quarterback, right? There's a reason he's your starting quarterback. But this isn't normally.
No,
I don't think this is normally. So, yeah, I gotta see, make sure Mayfield understands we need you in better health than you're in right now, and get rested up, as you said. And we're going to go with Case, and he's going to win us this football game, and then that gives you another 10 days from right now before you got to be ready to go.
Yeah, that's the way I would look at it. And I, like I said, I wouldn't leave it up to him. I would just tell him and move forward with that, and go to the team and say, hey, look, everybody else, next man up. Okay, yeah. we got, and we don't know yet if Nick Chubb's going to play or not, be cleared from the COVID list.
Right.
Not sure as we're taping this on a Thursday night, this podcast. It sure as hell would help if he were healthy against one of the worst run defenses in all of the National Football League to have your, top running back there. But even if you don't, I hope Kevin Stefanski, whoever he puts at quarterback, doesn't ignore Dearness Johnson like he did after the first 5 carries in that game last week, when he racked up about 50 yards, I think it was 4 carries for 50 yards, somewhere in that vicinity. And then they ignored the running game for most of that second half. So I would think that if it's Dearness or Nick Chubb or Demetric Felton, who's ever back playing, you got to, rely on the running game, play action off of that, and use Case Keenum that way. And we'll see if the offense, can pick up the win by running the football. It's what they do best, and making a few plays in the passing game till you get Baker back for that Baltimore game.
Well, yeah, that's who you are. I mean, we've spent a year and more than a half now, stating that case. This is who the Cleveland Browns are, offensive wise, and that's who they should be when you've got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, when healthy, and a strong run blocking O-line. Damn right, that's who you should be. So now you and I have stated our cases. Now here's another the $1 million question to you. Do you think in the next couple of days that's what Kevin Stefanski is going to do? I see there. Yeah. I'm not quite as convinced, buddy, as you and I are that he should do that. I'm not quite as convinced that that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, he needs to. Michael, this is the time where you make yourself known as the head coach of this team, and you're doing what you think is best for the team. This isn't about your contract. This isn't about, Odell in the passing game struggling. No, this is about your health. You got a bad foot. You got a bruised knee. Okay. You said it went numb. Never had that happen before, right? And You're playing with a harness on your shoulder, and it's obviously affecting your throwing. We've seen your numbers since you've been injured. Okay. So this is why I'm making this move. No other reason. Okay. You're going to stay with us mentally. we'll dress you just in case, right? Something would happen to Case Keenum, then you go to. But our goal is to sit you out this game and let you get healthy. So let's hope. Yep. I hope Kevin Stefanski makes that call and shows that he is in charge of this football team and has confidence in his backup, who he coached before, and has already won him one game this year. That's the job of a backup quarterback. When your starter's dinged up, hurt, can't go, be the bridge till he can return to action. And that's why you went out and you got Case Keenum, and I hope Kevin Stefanski uses him.
Yeah, and 100% with everything you just laid out. And, you got to have the confidence in that backup QB when you're paying him that kind of money to have him come aboard here, that you just don't want the damn thing to come tumbling down when your backup quarterback's got to play. That's the reason that you try to put yourself in a position to have the very best one you can. And another thing, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, as we've already alluded to, now you got, again, whether you want to say it's read between the lines, or you got two of your top players in Myles Garrett and Jarvis Landry who have questioned you, your coordinators and the coaching staff virtually about proper scheme. Are we putting game plans together well enough to give us and put us in the best position to win? Because, Kenny, that's what Garrett and Landry are saying, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Without so many words. So now, Kevin, you're being questioned by two of your top players publicly, my man.
Right.
Publicly, not inside the room. It's out there now. You just gonna let this all go, and don't say, well, we've talked about it in which Joe Woods and Alex Van Pelt did. Okay, I get you're going to say that, but you know what? There's one way for Kevin Stefanski to go and deal with this, and so far, Kenny, as you said, it's Thursday night. He has not decisively done any of that.
We don't know. Like I said, personal reasons, and Landry was on the list for the knee, right?
Yeah.
Could there have been other reasons why they didn't practice? Take a day off. Think about what you said, and how detrimental that could be to the team. Maybe a message was being sent that way by Stefanski. We'll see. We'll see how both those guys play this weekend. Okay, fine. You've questioned it, and it's fair to do so because the defense sucked last week, and the passing game is one of the worst in the league, right? So you questioned it. Now, what are you going to help, or how are you going to help do something about it? And that's what I want to see from Garrett and Landry as leaders of this team, regardless of who's playing quarterback for the Browns Sunday against the Detroit Lions.
Here. Only way that can go.
Yeah.
Only way that can go is, to see results on Sunday. And, a strong performance that results in a win over Detroit. Period.
It's the only thing that matters, without question, with those guys. All right, Reds, let's get a break in here on the R&R podcast. Again, brought to you by Northfieldpark, your home for live and simulcast racing. Don't forget our cookware giveaway Wednesdays in November. Guest deposit non-winning Northfieldpark Mutual tickets starting at 6 p.m. into the gold barrel to be eligible for a drawing to win a piece of cookware each week. Drawings take place on Thursday mornings, and winners have until the following Tuesday to claim their prize. Enter to win on November 24th. And, Reg, when we come back, let's turn our attention to college football. Huge win in Columbus this weekend. Sparty comes a-calling. 7th-ranked Michigan State taking on 4th-ranked Ohio State. We'll preview that matchup when we return to the R&R podcast right after this. Northfieldpark is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evening with a 6 p.m. post time. Wager and win daily on the top thoroughbred and harness tracks from around the world. Plus, enter to play the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win cash. Top prize is $500. Registration begins at 11 a.m. Free admission and free parking every day at Northfieldpark.
Hey,
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary. And if you've ever wondered where you can turn $50 into $5,000 legally outside of Las Vegas, then the sports card market, which is completely insane right now, might be for you.
Join us for the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast for the sports collector.
And we continue with the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Kenny Rhoda, Michael Regai, R&R with you. We talked Browns, must win for them this weekend, must win for the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend too. Michael Regai in Columbus, 12 o'clock kickoff Saturday, 4th-ranked Ohio State college football playoff rankings, 7th-ranked Michigan State in the CFP rankings, right? And Reg, I was blown away when I saw the spread on this game at 19 points in a matchup this week in the Big Ten. That caught me by surprise. I know their pass defense stinks at Michigan State.
Do you know how badly it is? Are you smelling it, in your home? Because that's about how bad it is. Ken, sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
The FBS college football programs in Division I.
Okay.
It's number 130. Michigan State's pass team.
Okay.
Bottom. The worst in college football.
All right, but still, Reds, even with that, you got a Heisman Trophy candidate in Kenneth Walker III, right? You're going to try and shorten the game if you're the $95 million man now. Mel Tucker reportedly getting that 10-year, $95 million contract, right?
Wow.
You're going to try and keep that Buckeyes offense off the field as much as possible. So, I mean, do I expect the Buckeyes to win? Yes. 10, maybe 14 points. Yeah, but by 3 touchdowns basically is what they're saying. That's a little surprising to me in a late November game with so much at stake for both teams. That's the way I feel about this one.
It's not to me for the reason I just said, because to me, Ohio State has the best pass receiving room in college football, or certainly right up there, right? When you look at Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Najigba, listen, to me, I think this is going to be, an opportunity. And if Mel Tucker doesn't wave some kind of real magic wand and pixie dust and all of that over their practice field this week, and they haven't shown it through their first 10 football games, Kenny, I don't know how in hell they're going to not allow a complete barrage to take place against them in the Horseshoe on Saturday. And look, yes, okay, yeah, they've done that. They're, if you'd have told me, well, Michigan State's going to be 9-1 going out of there again, you could have got a lot of my money before the season began, because I would have told you that isn't happening because they don't have that kind of personnel. But they have done that, and they've played some clunkers, Ken, that they've won.
Right.
Early in this Big Ten season, they didn't have a first down in the second half and managed to hang on and beat Nebraska. Right.
Okay.
They went to woefully, but with Indiana, and I feel for Tom Allen a little bit because this was we know, but it's kind of going to show. I just mentioned pixie dust. Well, obviously, 2020 season was a little bit of that. Everything fell into place for Indiana because they might be the bottom feeder in the Big Ten right now.
Correct.
Both divisions. They're not good. And Michigan State beat them by 5 and had a dogfight into the end of the fourth quarter to hang on and win there. Okay, that's going to happen to everybody a little bit, right? Ohio State didn't play their best football at Nebraska a couple weeks ago. But the thing is, to me, Kenny, I mean, if you're Ryan Day and this offense this week, Michigan State's a little bit better against the run. They certainly aren't near the bottom, but that doesn't mean I don't believe, because I do believe that the Ohio State run game, you get Michigan State in a situation where they've got to worry about the run game and TreVeyon Henderson, and then try to deal with these receivers when just innately they don't again, they're terrible at pass defense. Kenny, I got to be honest, I'm looking at something like, 42-17, 42-20. I just don't, again, I don't see it. So I guess what I'm saying, your question was, if you really break all the parts and pieces down of it, I kind of do see why Ohio State favored that by 3 touchdowns.
All right. I want to believe that, Reg, but every time I start to believe in the Buckeyes, then they have a close one or a clunker, or one side of the ball does not meet the standards that I think a lot of people have set for Ohio State this year. So they need to show me they can do it in back-to-back games. They waxed Purdue, man. Offensively, they were near perfect in that first half. Mm-hmm. And C.J. Stroud put himself, maybe as the front runner now for the Heisman Trophy if he can close strong with wins over 3 ranked teams over the next 3 games for Ohio State, Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and then the Big Ten championship game, right? So he has an opportunity to grab that as a redshirt freshman this year.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
And so I need to see this defense be better than it was last week against Purdue. Now, I know Purdue spreads it and throws it. And so that secondary, if you don't get pressure, that secondary, it can get beaten. We saw that last week. Now, Peyton Thorne, not going to, throw for 500 yards in a game. I get that because they want to shorten the game. They're going to try and feature Walker and play action off of that. I get it. But still, I need to see back-to-back big wins for Ohio State to believe that they are worthy of that dominant team, 3-touchdown favorite team that we expected them to be going into that Michigan game the following week.
And I get you. And here's the thing. And, I've always said I'm a Big Ten guy, first and foremost. I'm going to, if I got a little bit of bias, it's going to be for the Big Ten teams when we start getting on a national stage, Kenny.
Right.
But, I'm also a realist, too. I'm not going to be just waving homer pom-poms, for the Big Ten if it's not justified. And here's the thing. We've heard so much, and this is kind of coming after Sparty here a little bit. Or should I say one of their fan base, I guess. And we know what fan bases do anyway, right?
Right.
In general, a lot of times, none of them are very realistic, right? Especially in college football. That having been said, Kenny, I saw all the talking heads just went crazy a couple of weeks ago when the first college football playoff ranking came out, right?
Yeah.
And after the 4-point loss, where Michigan State beat Michigan, they ranked Michigan ahead of Michigan State by 1 spot. And, Gary Barta, who is the guy, he's the Iowa athletic director, but he is, at the head of the college football playoff. And he said it's because in breaking down both teams whole, we believe that Michigan is the better football team. Well, okay, but of course, and then but Michigan State beat them.
Right,
I get it head to head. Like Oregon is ranked ahead of Ohio State.
Correct.
And again, is Ohio State probably a better football team? I'm going to say yes. But, Oregon came in there into Columbus and won.
Right.
That's hard to do. So I get that part of it. But what nobody said about it, Ken, is that all the talking heads about, how could it do that? What an injustice. 7 days later, Sparty went to West Lafayette and just got rolled by Purdue.
Right.
Rolled by them. Got to be 42, whatever it was. I think they threw for almost 600 yards and just rolled them. So, it's like everybody's bitching and moaning about having, and what does the rankings right now mean anyway, Kenny?
There's some meaning to it if you're a legitimate Final Four team, but Reg, I think it's going to all wash out in the end after all the games are played, because Ohio State's playing Sparty and Michigan in the final 2 weeks, right? And
that's right. They got everything right in front of them. They've got that's all. Ohio State just take care of their bit these next 2 weeks, and they're in. And they're going to be a top. They might be 2 by that. If they do that, they could be 2. Now, they're not going to go to 1 ahead of Georgia unless Georgia, again, I mean, this is to say if Georgia keeps winning.
Right.
And we're looking, hey, who knows? I think we're probably looking at a Georgia-Alabama SEC championship game. Are we not? More than likely?
I think so. Yep.
So, again, but Ohio State's going to be a top 4 if they take care of business.
Right. And so we'll see how this, plays out. Same with Alabama and Georgia. Oregon, there's no guarantee they don't stub their toe again. You know what I mean? And come up on the short end before this thing's all said and done. And give the committee credit. They didn't give Oklahoma a lot of love, and they were undefeated. And they saw that one coming.
They better record than quite undefeated.
Yeah.
So that's better than Ohio State. Oh, just by record. Well, you want to go by record? Well, then Oklahoma was supposed to be ahead of Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, and Michigan State. So they got a better record than all 4 of them.
Right.
Up until you know what I mean? Before And
that's my point. Even though they had 0 losses, they looked at them as not one of the top 4 teams in the country, and they were right on that one.
Well, then how come everybody was bitching? Well, maybe I'm sure Oklahoma fans were. At the time. Yes. Well, we're undefeated, and you got these 5: Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan State, Oklahoma State, who I really like, by the way.
Okay.
You got 5 one-loss teams at that time. Then you got us ranked behind all 5 of them.
Right. And then there's Cincinnati sitting there undefeated.
Well, what about that?
They're just hoping 1 or 2 teams stub their toe and they go undefeated. They've got SMU this week, and I think East Carolina the following week. And in the championship game, maybe it's Houston. I don't know off the top of my head. Right now, if Oregon wins out, if Ohio State wins out, right?
They're in.
They're in. If Georgia wins out, they're in. If Alabama loses, they still might be in, possibly with 2 losses, depending on how close that game is against Georgia, right?
Okay, and I will say that on the, SEC's behalf, because we hear it, like we were saying, we got our Big Ten, signs up and everything, and it's but yes, Georgia should. If their only loss is to Alabama and let's just assume, a competitive close game in the SEC championship game after going into that at 12-0, you can't drop them out.
No. And
they should be there.
What you do then is you make sure they don't meet again until the championship game, right? You split it up.
Yes.
So somebody goes to
1-4.
1-4. Yeah. And that way, you have Ohio State maybe moves all the way back up to number 1, or Ohio State could leapfrog Oregon in the final standings if they win the next 3 games.
Absolutely, they
even
can.
If Oregon wins the next 3 games. So but right now, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon.
That's my top 4. Right now, that's my top 4 right now, and
without question.
I just told you I like Oklahoma State a lot. They got Bedlam coming up against Oklahoma, so that can put something real strong for them, in their resume.
Right.
And as we just said, even both Michigan and Michigan State, they like Ohio State, they control their own destiny because they're both playing Ohio State.
Absolutely.
They're going to be in at 11-1 and the Big Ten East champ and having beat Ohio State. So, there's still a lot left out there. But
a lot more exciting.
The Buckeyes are in a good spot.
Yeah.
I think they can be as high as 2. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Than the NFL right now. I love the college game. The pro game, 17 and Thursday night crap games where they're making guys play on, short rest and all that stuff. That's just a money grab right there. I could do without the Thursday night NFL game. So give me college football at its finest. With this race, even though I think they need to expand to 8 playoff teams, and we'll see how this thing plays out. Yeah. So I'm more excited about what happens college-wise than the NFL right now.
Hey, be thinking of me Saturday, because you know how I really want the Ohio State Michigan State game. I'm really interested in that. Kenny, I won't be able to watch it live. I'm calling Kent State and Akron. in the wagon wheel battle on
There you
Saturday
go.
at the same time. And, love calling college football. My biggest passion now as I turn into an old curmudgeon. So I won't be able to watch that live. And you say, well, it's impossible for me not to know what's going on in that game because I might have to, the scores are going to be coming up for me.
Right.
So, but be that as it may, I think, Ohio State fans, I'm telling you, feel real good about it because I believe that I'm talking a 3-touchdown win. Yes. I'd be real surprised if it's not a 3-touchdown win.
I've got them by 10 to 14 points. And I'll take that and stay healthy going into the Michigan game. Right? That's the key.
Question.
That's the biggest key there. Stay healthy. And then, have it, as I like to reference it, Reg, at the outhouse in Ann Arbor following week with the rivalry between the biggest rivalry, the greatest rivalry in college football, the game.
And it'll mean a hell of a lot.
And I'm rooting for Michigan this week because I don't want them to stub their toe this week. I want them going in on a win as well. And have them square off against the Buckeyes and have that one for all the marbles, basically, to go to the Big Ten championship game and control your own destiny of getting into the college football playoff. Yep, that's always fun. And that's, the kind of way when during our time as kids, that's the way it was, man. When, of course, Woody Hayes started to build up. But when Bo Schembechler got to Ann Arbor in 1969, man, it spent 2 full decades, the 70s and the 80s. That game, the game, Michigan, Ohio State, Big Ten championship. Yeah. Now, of course, Woody turned into Earl Bruce. And, it was Schembechler was there. It was against Woody and Earl. And then when John Cooper came in, Bo had retired, and it was Gary Moeller. And then Lloyd Carr. And, of course, Moeller was played at Ohio State. There's always that intrigue, Kenny. It's always it's such a large part of the college football, fabric over time. And I know they are, to me, they're still for me. I mean, these are 2 of the big time blue blood programs in college football. And it would help Michigan if they were able to beat Ohio State to get back on the map in the eyes of more people out there as a blue blood. Because of their recent history and Harbaugh's inability to beat Ohio State. And, of course, they didn't play last year with the COVID issue and everything like that. So this one would be a huge one for Harbaugh, especially at home, if he were able to get that one. I give Jim credit for this. I've always said when he gets in, it is what it is. He's 0-5 against Ohio State. Now, when I got asked about if I were Jim, and because you don't know how to beat Ohio State, because I am, I said, what the hell are you talking about? I beat him 3 times when I was quarterback in Michigan. So I know how to beat Ohio State. I got to get my players to understand how to beat Ohio State. That's what I'd say. And, of course, you'd get a lot of criticism for that. Right. Yeah. So Harbaugh is probably a little bit smarter guy than me. He hasn't come out and said that, but that is a fact. He beat Ohio State 3 times, starting quarterback in Michigan. So, all of that stuff adds to the intrigue. But, right, yeah. And, I mean, it's funny, too, Kenny. I mean, you could have got all my money back in the day because, from 1985 till 2001 when Jim Trussell came in. Well, I know they were 2-10-1 under Newt Cooper, as I like to reference him. So you look at that. So there, and then again, you say, well, no. Well, to me, when you only win 3 games in 16 years, that's one-sided. Right? Yeah. Well, then we know what's happened since then. When Truss took over, now it's one-sided the other way. And now, Kenny, we're into over to 16 and 9. We're into 35 years of this rivalry that it's pretty much been one-sided one way or the other, which just incomprehensible. That just is, not the way as a kid I grew up in the rivalry. It was literally one win one year, one wins the next year. And you get a couple upsets here and there, but so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about it next week. I was going to say, let's save that conversation for next week in the middle of the week leading into that game. And maybe we can, maybe we'll look around and see, maybe we can
grab one of the former Buckeyes.
Hey, we can grab a couple of them. Get a Buckeye and a Wolverine.
Oh,
next
Johnny
time,
Colazar, man. I get Johnny. He come on with us, and we maybe
traitor.
We'll talk
Johnny
about that.
Colazar, that traitor.
Westlake, Ohio, man,
went to Michigan and returned kicks for them.
But you do know he's a legend. You do know his dad played at Michigan.
I know. I just call all of them traitors when they leave Ohio for Michigan. Traitor.
See, Elvis Gerbach, Desmond
Traitor.
Howard, my man
Traitor.
Ricky Powers,
Charles Woodson, traitor.
Charles Woodson. Yeah, well,
let's get both of them winning this week, and that'll set up the conversation next week in the middle of the week for the R&R podcast, make it even better. And then we'll do this again on Sunday night after the Browns beat the Detroit Lions to get to 6-5 on the season. All right, Reg?
Kenny, I'm going to go for the first time this year. I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the game.
Okay.
It's son Cal's birthday, and of course, he's just like over the top as Browns fan. So yeah. Well, I'm going to be there, and then you and I'll talk about it on Sunday night.
All right, sounds good, Reg. Always a pleasure. Thanks to everybody out there for checking us out. The Red Guy and Rhoda podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Thanks again to our producer, Dave Emmert, for making sure you're able to hear this, and we'll do it all over again after the Browns and the Lions. Recap that one and then get you ready for the game, Ohio State and Michigan. Next week should be a lot of fun.